It helps preserve the paints for a bit longer. Yeah. Especially the lid, paint dries from my side, and also the factor, so that can be a factor. So if you had a lid over it during mold, sometimes that can help it from drying out. I tend to be a little messy, so and a lot of these are cadmium oil paints, cobalt, and things like that. So right now I'm dipping into a tiny bit of aerosol just to help the paint flow initially, and then I'm going to use kind of a roller or sienna, something like that, a little warm char, just to get the paint to flow a little bit. But I'm just going to use my legs. And the idea is, what you can imagine is, what if you just had 5 or 6 of these big sticks, and what if we would sort of just lay them out in a way that kind of limits what we're seeing. That's how I like to think of it. So let's start by, first of all, holding the brush a bit far back, using more of the shoulder muscles. That helps to think in terms of these big straight lines. I think we all kind of get sucked into the small details, so if you're gripping the paintbrush like this and you're up close, it's kind of impossible to think in terms of these big motions. So early on, you can think big, and one way to help facilitate that is just shoulder muscles standing far back, and just going through these big simple straight lines, and then as the drawing progresses, I usually stand up when I'm painting outside. Oftentimes, like in the studio, I'll have a stand that raises them up and stand up, so that we're roughly the same eye line. Sit there. It's important not to forget the head and shoulders as well. And the way I think about things initially is just sort of gliding across the canvas and not getting stuck in one area too long. So we're going to think just in terms of how we simplify things, very rounded subjects into just a few simple straight lines. And right now already it's so that things are just starting to add things. But even at this stage, it's perhaps not bad again to pause and take a quick measurement. So let's talk about measurement for a moment. And the most important things I find in the beginning portrait is establishing a soft parameter that's not going to change. So for instance, I'm just going to decide that on the canvas, this is the marker for the top of the head and the chin, base of the chin. And I'm just going to kind of use that as a guide for that's the height of the head, and then I'm going to measure. So the way I do that is just a long stick like this, holding my arm straight out and locked, closing one eye, and what I'm looking for now is my initial guess, how can I refine that? And I'm going to line my thumb up with the side of the head, and the wire is going on the other side of the head, and I'm going to flip that and see what it comes out to. And in this case, it's almost square. So the process of drawing is just changing things. The biggest hurdle off the point is whatever we put down, we get immediately attached to it. So part of the reason why I like drawing is it's almost like a meditation in non-attachment. If you can get there, be willing to change things. And sometimes I get frustrated, sometimes a lot of it's nice, but it's not not nice right away. It's easy to kind of get it down. But if you get in the habit of thinking, oh, that's actually good enough to have a mistake, then you can just take it more accurate. It can be more fun and also really easy to maintain something better if you're willing to change things. So, yes?
What did you use as the basis surrounding the first thing you started with? You measure everything against that in terms of the ratio.
So, yes, establishing some parameters of change, in this case, the top of the head and the chin here. So I'm using that as kind of my basic metric that's not going to change. And then,
So it's the height of the head is the first thing, and everything is in relation to that.
that's right, yes. So height of the head. And then now, comparing this, when I measured, I found that it was almost a square, maybe slightly less. So I'm going to check my drawing then and flip that. And that seems about right. Maybe a slightly wider thing, just to kind of close around on that too. Measurement sometimes can be sort of a false sense of security, so it's sometimes useful to check it once or twice. Yeah, that's now square slightly under, so that matches close to right now. And again, it's so important to not go too far, too fast. So rather than just adding things, I'm going to see how much can I say with as little as possible at this stage. The big shape, yeah, so actually what I want to do is get something very, very refined. I brought a few examples. I'll put out some more. There's about a dozen in here later. But these are quick, maybe 3-hour portraits, and then eventually get to a really refined, specific, accurate curve. But the best way to do that is through a series of straight lines that eventually get broken down. So one straight line might become 3, and that might become 6. And you sort of just slowly break things down into smaller straight lines until you get something that might end up as a very refined, accurate contour. So, yes, for the hairline and perhaps the hairline indication of essential things. Just to start to indicate the orientation. So, just looking about this way. And I want to sort of imply this kind of this kind of gets that side plane, top plane. So now we're going to pause again and keep a quick measure. So I know this is going to change, and I know my length width is roughly accurate. The next most important thing I found is the eye line. Meaning from the base of the chin to the top of the head, where are the center of the eyes. So usually when the person who are looking straight ahead, it's about halfway. So it's useful to have that in the back of your mind. But I never sit in any kind of formulas. It's going to change based on the person, where you're sitting, and what kind of factors like that. But yes, it's about exactly halfway. So that's very good. So what we're going to do then is find out where halfway it is.
So roughly from the chin to the top of the head, or from the chin to the hairline?
Chin to the top of the head. So chin to the top of the head. I'm just trying to find where exactly it is halfway. Like indication there. And then the next most important thing I find forgetting like this is the ratio of the base of the chin to the base of the nose and how that relates to the eyebrows. So again, it's still kind of thing at this stage you can start getting into details, put in the glasses, put in the ear and lips and everything you want to get into it, but those things drop into place pretty quickly if you get the big things going in proper proportion, and then it kind of allows you to chin, the base of the nose. I found that it came just above the eyeball line, and it was about a third of the whole. So initially I went just eyeballing and ended up measuring. And then once I get kind of these basic proportions in, I would kind of just switch gears and not really measure that much, and just sort of eyeball and use the more intuitive back and forth comparison. Okay, so that represents out. I'm also drawing sort of these big broad lines initially. And then they would get sort of whittled down over time. So we're going to leave this at this stage for about now really, if you can kind of just linger in this zone for as long as possible, that's often the key. The like as it goes, a bit abstract. I find that's the best way to find corrections. And not go into details while there's more sort of big portion here. So the last thing I'll look at is base of the nose, where the ear is. So I'll look for this kind of relationship and this here. So that'll tell us a little bit about the tilt in the head. So we'll try different, totally different views next. And yeah, we're going to go through the chair and profile view.
This side of the face, when the lighting is a little different. I mean, yeah, this side of the face when the lighting is on this side.
Yes, the lights are from this way and the shadows are on the other side. And a lot of times what we're looking for initially is in some sense of like a cue. So for instance, somebody's looking. This we can kind of visualize that this is kind of the top plane of the head, the center line, the eyes going along there, or we can visualize the head and top and under. But yeah, I use round shapes a lot. As well, in this case, I'm going to dive in a bit smaller so we get more head and shoulders. But same thing, we're going to start with the base of the chin and just establish the parameters. So this is going to decide. This is about how big things are and try to keep it as simple as possible. And in order to do that, I find it's useful to just sort of glide around. So I'm looking for kind of key points. Maybe it's the point of the chin, up to here, and then immediately going down here, kind of finding something to grab onto so that I don't get stuck in one area as much. And a good question to ask at this stage is, how simply can I draw this while capturing as much as possible? Going forward with as big a line as possible. So first, just sort of eyeballing things. And then I'll go in and take measurements. But my main point with this is just to show, ideally, this is often where things kind of go off course with people, is they go into the right away into the details. And then also just hopefully kind of should be able to convince somebody to sit for 30 minutes or so, even. And what I recommend is just practicing starts. So after this, we'll do these sort of little quick mini paintings that keep sharp from receding in the big abstract sense. But if you can just get dozens of notes of these starts in just 5 minutes, I find that's often where you'll do the most, rather than necessarily spending a long time. So I'm going to just check my guest here, and again, not to add too much, which is always tempting. What I want to look for is, I've decided this is where the chin is, and now how's my guest and good. So I'm just going to look for roughly where's the lines point. I'm also going to see if I can correct the basic angles. So for the lines point here, it's about a square. As you can see, it's all squares, so that's pretty close. But from that measurement, I also noticed that the nose is a little bit long out. So I don't know where it is vertically yet. I'm just going to rotate here and there. And then again, the next most important thing is where are the eyes. So get that measurement. And again, it's not halfway, so forward. And then now we can kind of trust that I know the eyes are roughly in this position. You know the eye width and the head is pretty solid. And you can sort of go into some of these smaller details with a lot more confidence, knowing those big proportions are okay. So I'm going to switch gears now and go into what I call poster study, or we're going to do an even smaller version of that. My students would call it like Minecraft or little Lego studies. And they're super fun because there's no pressure to them. You can do that really fast. And ideally, it gives you kind of all you need in a portrait. So with this one here, this is a 3-hour Al Prima portrait demo. See on the top left, this is what we're going to do now. Essentially, 5 to 20 distinct brushstrokes. It's almost like an abstract painting of what you're eventually going to do, but it deconstructs what you're seeing and it gives you a distinct choice for the darks, the hair, the background, and there's subtleties where the background layer is slightly lighter or than the other side. There's the 3 distinct notes for the hair, which describes the transition to light, and for the color choices of the face, there are 4 distinct choices as well: shadows, something right out of the shadows, all the local tone of the face, and the highlight.
Is that the object you have in set color you're using?
Yeah, it's just a way to kind of dive in and give yourself essentially like a thesis statement for a 20-page paper, just kind of give you a bullet points of like, okay, remember.
But in terms of color.
In terms of color, yeah, you might subtly diverge from there and add subtlety and slightly different notes. But as a base going, ideally, it should give you a sense of the light and a rough guide that you kind of refer back to. And similar to with the block it, when so initially I was thinking about just starting with 5 to 20 big straight lines, and we all tend to get into the details right away. Likewise with color, it's so tempting to just get into all the beautiful highlights of the hair and the glasses So if we can have some sort of big, abstract, simple start that's really low pressure and it just kind of gets us into things, I find it's a really nice way to start something. And totally take the pressure off on drawing too. It's not about drawing at all, just to do an abstract sort of rectangle over there. And yeah, it's also very good to start with. So we're going to try that here. Sorry? A paper? This is just a canvas paper. I can pass this around to what I usually use them. It's like placements, they're double fried oil linen. It's a much nicer surface. So for finished paintings, I'll do something like that. This is a slightly more developed, what we call a poster study. But it's the same idea. It's just essentially an abstract deconstruction of what we're looking at with these very distinct notes. So it's not about blending, it's not even about making something super refined. But the idea is it should give you a picture of what your painting or your figure or your landscape, if you're doing air, would look like from 50 feet away, where you can't really see all the tiny details, but you can get a big picture of things. So a lot of times we get sucked into the reflected light, for instance, or things like that, where we over contrast things. So this is just a way to give us a reminder of that big picture. Here's another example of that poster study idea of the red self-portrait, just spending about an hour on it. And then working on a finished painting of this that might take 50, 60 hours. But it's so useful to have this as a guide to refer back to. And essentially give you something that, there's no details, it's just these distinct, almost abstract notes. But because they're distinct, they're actually more useful to refer back to as opposed to something that's very, very blended. And it doesn't actually have as much to look at. But, that's right, yeah. Exactly, yeah. I guess that's what they're actually doing. Yeah, they're very tiny. I'll pass this around so you can see the tiny version up here. That's right, go ahead. So it's essentially like a puzzle. Just we're doing a simple abstract puzzle. Let's see. Maybe you want to go that way.
Do you use the same size brush for the larger as you do the smaller? Are you switching out size brushes for the little thumbnail?
I'm switching the brushes, but having a fairly big brush is actually nice to keep things big and simple.
So you don't try to do too much detail?
Exactly, yeah. But again, the variety is super important, so just having some big brushes and small ones. So we're going to dive into this now and just do one of those quick little abstract things. And again, these are super fun because you can do them fast. They're not necessarily meant to look good, it's just practice. But ideally, if you capture these specific notes, it will train you to be more accurate in terms of color and value. And because it's these distinct, simple choices, it gives you something concrete to grab onto it, and you can sort of refer to it and see, I know I'm going to have. I'll go a little bit bigger than usual, just so you perhaps y'all can see better. And again, there's no real sense of drawing here. It's going to be totally abstract. And I want to incorporate the background as well. So what we're going to look hue referring to which color is it, value, light or dark, and chroma is it dull or is it bright. So the way I think about things is just imagining that color wheel and sort of moving through it to capture what I want to yeah. I know some people say that don't use black. I find it really useful, especially in Seattle with the American thing. You know, if you have an overcast day, black and white gets you pretty darn close to the sky color, and you can always throw in a little bit of blue or something to, but I find it's a very smart combination. Okay, so we're just going to dive right in, and again, we're going to let go of drawing, and we're just going to make these kind of big choices. And likely after we kind of get the whole puzzle piece working, we'll be able to see what's off and what needs some work. I use a few different pigments, a lot of them are really square and old olive, some yellow. And I find it useful to paint pretty thick with these. It's, you know, we can get into refinement later. With these, it's more out. Right here. The screen, yeah. I don't know if this is working. If you want to, you guys can all come up closer to see how I'm actually mixing things, but that's not. But I'll pass through and take a break in a second. But yeah, this is blue for here. Get more light on this. And that's a good point, actually. You know, that happens a lot in Clemera. I'm sure those of you who have done that before. Having red on the light on your palette, it is important for your palette and your canvas. I've done it a million times where you do something that looks okay in the moment, and then you take it indoors later, and it might not look so good. So. Dark applications. Yeah, so if the sunlight, if you're painting outdoors and the sunlight or a lot of light is directly on your surface, you have to paint everything a bit lighter. Otherwise, it's going to look dark when you're painting indoors. And conversely, if you painting it dark, it's like you can't really see your canvas that much. Where you're looking towards the sun, you have to make everything a little bit darker. Otherwise, it's going to look a bit washed out when you take it. The other thing that's happening is, like we mentioned, it all looks quite dark from back there. Part of that is just because the white of the canvas is like a blinding, termination blinding your eyes almost. It's so hard to judge the accurate values because that's there. So the idea with this is it's sort of, I want to cover that as fast as possible to get a good sense of that.
Would you ever, like, neutralize the background with a middle value, even though the background might naturally be greater or lesser, higher or lower value? You know what
I usually try to stick close to what I see, so rather than changing things too much, we'll maybe change the setup to fit something closer to what I like.
So that dark green is maybe around her head, is the value that you actually see?
Yeah. I think I'm closer to the lighter than that area. And it's all relative, so that's what we want to do with these puzzle piece shapes, is by putting this very sort of dark blue in here, it's going to change the way we can see. Now all of a sudden that might look a tad lighter.
Can you just mention the white making this
A lot of times I do paint on a two-tone surface, like a lot of these here. I, at Einstein, would do what we call a Dura, it's a tone surface on a dry house. And that way you're not getting blinded by the white surface. Sometimes I actually prefer to have the white canvas as well, different areas. It's just personal preference.
If you do pre-tone canvas, do it like, for example, about 20% value or 40% value.
I think it tends to be nicer that you don't do it too dark. Like, a lot of times with cool pre-tone things, it's sort of like once up there, maybe a value 3 if one is white and one is black. But it's all just personal preference with that. So as if I can match this color, there's this thing about hue, value, and chrome. So what I put down here, I think is a decent value, and chroma is pretty close, but my hue is off. It shows something that's a little bit too blue, and needs to get a little bit more blue violet to go with more light source. So I would say add this or trim it to shift the hue more towards. But similar to the lock-in, I don't want to get caught up too much in small stuff. What I'm looking for is a big picture. So rather than tinker this too much, I'm going to strictly get in a lot more things. Just to get that orientation.
If you were outside in plein air, would you be more concerned just with the accuracy of the color swatches? You want to get that green or that blue or whatever rather than just the shade.
Yeah, ideally I want to get everything accurate.
Shows that pink, so I love that color.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, just tell me she's different between the white and the pink.
I love it. No, it's great. This is one of my favorite things. What I have on my palette here is brilliant pink from Old Holland. It's this nice darker pink here. And I also have something called radiant red, radiant tan from Gambling. Sort of these beautiful hot pinks that really I actually find pretty useful in the landscape too. To see how they look at those. For sunsets.
So do you find that, so a lot of artists stick to a really basic palette and mix everything from that, but what you're saying is you're actually buying pre-mixed colors and you are using.
That's right, yeah. I have a fairly macro palette and a lot of things. The danger with that is you can get not harmonious. You know, it can be exact here-ish all over the place if you don't know how to control it. It's like driving a fast car or something. And anything you touch is going to go really far in that direction. But with my atelier training, we did a lot of just value, just more cool, and then the whole year just painting two pigments. And then gradually going into more subtle things and more cool pigments. So I think I want to get something that's fairly harmonious and not all over the place, but I find I love time for things essentially. Say again, very limited palette.
Yeah, full color.
Yeah, so I use a full palette, but my end result is actually one of these things running still. So it's a bit more risky, but I feel like I can lay it off and I can get there. It's by still looking for accurate color choices, you get something that in the end, if you're in nature, it should be harmonious still. And then, it's neutralizing the kind of things that happen. So again, we were just talking this big picture thing, so I'm going to try to simplify things as much as possible. It's probably easier for y'all back there because you're so far away. It's kind of easy to see things in terms of big picture. The closer you are, the harder it is. So some of the tools we have for that is just squinting. If you wear glasses, you can let the glasses up, set it back as much as possible. But I want to, just like the one I passed around, just deconstruct the values of and structure of the edge to just four distinct abstract nodes. Again, I'm not worried at all about the drawing here. It's going to look like a rectangle or like a person. But this is something that we could use as a guide for doing a longer painting, whether that's a month-long painting or 3-hour painting. And I think you'll see as soon as we get the white canvas covered, we all have pretty well and look at it up close. And things will start to shift. I think these can be really satisfying and fun because they're abstract and don't work with drawing, and it's just a matter of slight adjustments to the color and the value, and it is really just like this almost Rocco like big puzzle piece. But it should, in theory, give you a good sense of like getting captured. And you can set this out in the landscape. I know I do this sometimes. I do this before starting a 3-hour thing, or each longer palette. Do a smaller version of this, just a real quick deconstruction of things. So we're going to look at some people brought in paintings over there, we'll look at later, and it's really useful to have this nice big room where we can see things from far away. So this is this gives us a sense of how things look from far away. And something like a hair, it's very difficult to deconstruct that. There's so much beautiful stuff going on. Beautiful color. So I'm going to switch and essentially just try to average things out to overall sort of color and value choices. And the more we get in, the easier it will be able to see if we're on the track. With these distinct notes, I find the more these get kind of fussy and actively blend too much, it actually sort of defeats the purpose. So if you can kind of just lay down these big distinct notes, that's actually helps. So right now, I chose kind of one color value for the darkest moment of the hair here. As things shift going this way, perhaps it gets a little lighter. And get more light on the top of that here. Yes.
Yeah,
Take a break.
oh, no, in 30 minutes, we'll see you.
Perfect. That's good. So one thing that's really useful, I mentioned the term massage, essentially just stands for lost edge. So if we can find something here, in the shirt, in the hair where the borders slightly disappear where it's, even if it's a different color, if it's the same value, it will suddenly blend or nearly blend. And the more you can find that, the more this is the atmosphere we're going to talk about. And this thing on that is to have skin brushes for your darks and lights, help keep your colors clean. So for instance, right here, just get a little bit more. I want to lay down these nice, beautiful distinct notes so that they can be referred to later. I found a lot with drawing images. It's summarized by it's simple but not easy. And I think a lot of times we like to make things easy and complicated. So this is fairly simple in the end result. It's going to just be a handful of distinct brush strokes. But it's hard to capture them accurately. Because it's a fairly simple, straightforward thing, it's shines light on whether we're off or not. If we were to just dive into something a bit more detailed and messy, it's hard to tell how to push it to the next level. How to find errors. So this is a way to kind of show more clearly where we're off and where we can improve things. So I leave a nice distinction up there for that people highlight. And then now we're going to deconstruct the values of the portrait to right now we have sort of base shown. And then let's pick one value for the shadow. So if we squint, we ignore the features and just sort of deconstruct and then here, there, here, here.
Would you not lay down, like that facial tone you've already laid down, lay that over the whole face, and then lay in the darker, lighter blocks?
Yeah, you could do that. I find it can tend to get a bit bushy, with oil paint especially. So, if I were to lay on a dark over there, it's going to be a little bit streaky and blurry. So here this allows us to kind of get a little bit more control over the edge of the paint. So it's essentially just a mapping of relationships. It's like if you walk in and look here, 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 here. With this estimate laying down the average guess for the overall shadow colors and values, it's really useful to compare it to the light side of the sweater and just balancing around here.
Are you seeing from your angle what we're seeing on the screen or what we're seeing looking at the hand?
Well, I'm just looking here and
Because that's what's so frustrating, because we're seeing it from one angle and up there she's got a different angle.
if it's okay with everybody, you can kind of come look behind and see what I'm seeing for a moment. But yeah, that is with demos all the time. So you're seeing probably more shadow. I'm seeing slightly less shadow than more time light. But once I get this covered in a few minutes, I'll have you all come up and see from my vantage point. So this is beautiful chromatic. Down here. After that.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not, okay, I get it.
Okay, so we're almost there. Just get this covered. And again, that light is so lighting. So the second that gets covered, we'll be able to better see what needs changing. So now we're going to pick one thing kind of in between here for the after shadow and light. I find that's often one of the more difficult colors or values to find. But we know it needs to be a little bit lighter than this, it needs to be a little bit darker than that. So my default, we talked about hue, value, chroma. My default is always just first get the value right. I find that even though I love color and chroma, the most important thing I think is still getting the value. You get the values right, you get the colors wrong, it can still look great. Whereas if you get the other way around, it decide less.
You're taking the level of heat that you use for the right side of the face, and then adding whatever color is necessary for this.
Yeah, I think about mixing more freely. I don't think so much about like, okay, I have this for that, and I kind of just use what I have to. Ideally, because on my palette, I have some version of all of these high color pigments. The whole thumbnail is available. So if I kind of mix in the right files, I can match any hue value chroma. So I think about things a little bit more like that rather than using pre-mixed files of whatever I have to place.
I noticed that you started out with a completely clean palette. Do you do that every time you start a new painting? I know a lot of artists just have all of their paint on the palette and they use it from the previous.
Yeah, no, I try to use fresh palette every time. It makes a difference to have nice clean paint. If the paint is a little old and crusty, I kind of hate it a little different. I like to use fresh paint as much as possible. And this, what I use here is a paper palette, which in the studio I use a nice wood one. But with Linaire, I find the paint jobs quite nice because as my setup gets messy, I'll just tear it off because you have a nice clean slate. And you get your kind of colors. Yeah, definitely. So this is sort of a cheap canvas paper, and it's very absorbent. The paint, without the medium, if I do this, it's just going to drag across like that. Whereas, other linens that pass around are very nice, they're a bit smoother. So, just being aware of the surface and finding something that you like is valuable, and then you can just toggle how much linseed oil and against all you have with a brush to help things flow as you do. So hopefully you can see Again, letting go of rolling.
So that rule is not really hot, the one with hot contrast. So that is the hot
That's right, yeah. A bit, for this particular exercise, it's sort of hard edges and distinct notes. When I'm doing an action paper, like 3 hours to sit down, I wouldn't mass this in this abstract. This is more of a separate, just learning exercise. And I would go straight into a bit more subtlety addition. So I have a few examples up there, and I'll put a few more in a moment. So you can see that. So anytime you're working on a long project, I encourage you all to try this, whether you need more abstract one that takes 5 minutes or one that takes 20 minutes. It's so useful to have, especially as you do more than paper practice. I find it eventually gives you confidence to just be a little less worried about how things are going to go. You know, you kind of have a sense of things from the get-go. And it will train you to be more accurate in the long run. So like that Rembrandt poster study I passed around, you know, that's essentially a deconstruction of everything I need for that, 60-hour painting I'm working on. And it's so important, I think, to have some sort of reminder of that big picture. Everybody gets lost in the details. And in the valley, you think about the window when there's more color. So if you can get in the habit of learning to find accurate values while you're getting color, that's so useful. In here, it's going to become easier to see what needs to be changed. As well as we can start to perhaps find a path more subtlety. So for instance, this is sort of an overall deconstruction of what we see. And then now, maybe we find slightly local shifts because it's beautiful. And shred those beautiful sheets. Sometimes along the temples or the hairline, there's a slight note. So finding some more subtle details. Squinting and flipping back and forth to see if anything jumps out as off from a big picture standpoint. So this can get a tad lighter, maybe less dramatic. Doing this kind of lays down in a way that's mostly sort of one big flat value choice. The decisiveness of these is the hard part. That's the simple design parts. You can't get away with sort of just making a bunch of many parts. By making that distinct choice, it will tell you if you're wrong or not. Yeah, some of that was just to sort of keep things flat. Not a bad idea to sort of have vertical brush strokes if you don't want a bunch of glare. And again, when doing more finished paintings, it's a lot more intention of refinement. With these, it's just about that big abstraction. It's less about. Okay, so we're almost there. Probably drop it a line here. Show. A little bit more form, and right now there's this cool cast shadow here at the end. Shadow blemish. This is a hard color to get sometimes, so I'm going to first just think about value. In the shadows.
Yeah, it's the one that's, her chin is passing, looks to be the same value as the one that the lapel is passing.
Yeah, there's basically two or three values in there. It's a little tricky because we can't capture everything exactly as we're seeing. We're just trying to sort of deconstruct it, that it gives us a sense of shadow towards the light. And
So you're utilizing some of your knowledge of the planes and the three-dimensionalities of the gray, rather than just the absolutely swing to exactly what you see.
exactly, yeah. And I think deconstruction, it's like some of it is just a reminder of, remember, if you stare into this, you're going to see a lot of value variation. But we want to pick things at this stage, how things look maybe from. So maybe one more brush stroke here. There's this really nice kind of cool here. And now that we have something in, and the canvas is covered, it's a lot easier to tell where things might be off or on, but of time, so perhaps you can see things a bit better. Let's, I'm going to step back if you want to, if that's okay. So we can come out and kind of see from, maybe you can pose for a moment, so they can see what I'm seeing. Yes. That part's a little tricky to see. Yeah, I might be farther further to a light like on the referendum here. Mostly ignoring it, but kind of inundating it. I made it a little bigger. Usually it has more, yeah. The smaller it is, the easier it actually is to keep it simple. The bigger it is, it's so easy to walk. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's part of the story. So I see what some of you were meaning. If you're looking from this vantage point, you see much more shadow, and it's going to look a bit different. But you can do the same thing from this vantage point, and just have some slightly more darks. The challenge is to think about the concept of the light, and what angle the light is coming from, and what's changing forward when you see. So if we have 30 hours to do a portrait, I think this, get a big picture of the colors of the light, not get lost. Yeah. Okay. So I'll pause here and I'll leave this up so people can look at it. And then I'm going to put out a bunch more examples of more 3-hour, slightly more finished paintings that you all can look at. And they're all done from life, from observation, just as one city. And I brought two recent plein air paintings from last month. One in California, one just from years ago. And I use the same principles outside, so I think all this translates. Yeah. And my email is on my card right there. If anybody has questions later, feel free to ask. Come by Page Captain if you want to check out what we're doing there. Yeah, for these things, when I'm doing like the details of frame hair poses, you know, we all kind of get up close and very but that's kind of go too far into that early and yeah, this is like more separate like exercise that I might do just to do 30 minutes.
No, it's going to do critiques. No. You can't. You've got to come over here. I wouldn't bother.
These are all
Just ask Ryan. What he's going to say.
yeah, I essentially I've got all kinds of brands, Walmart, so I usually have some version of everything on the phone. I find that easy enough to control.
Amy wants to
get rid of oil paints, in the past, you know, juicy for so they're all yeah, probably. It's a watercolor box. It's just a fire calling it.
Too bad.
And
Did you get it to the gallery? I know, it's somebody. It is a gallery. Yeah, I mean, you know.
which is more this was a weird thing. For Halloween, it's kind of keep it at
No ending remarks.